station that keeps you informed. Breaking news, fresh from the scene. Hello there, and welcome to the World News on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. My name is Esther Wachuku, and these are the top stories. Court rejects bid to dismiss terrorism charges against Fubara's Chief of Staff, Edison Ehie. APC warns Fubara on disrespecting Tinubu. Outrage as Tinubu's government delays students' loans disbursement. Police Inspector General condemns crowdfunding on social media. Details now. The world news begins with the appeal to dismiss terrorism charges against 5 followers of Governor Similai Fubara of Rivers State, which was rebuffed by Justice Mobolaji Olajuwon of the Federal High Court in Abuja. The judge declined the request made by the current Chief of Staff to the Governor, Edison Ehie, to terminate the charges. VOP News gathered that the Federal High Court in Abuja had ordered the arrest of Edison Ehie in connection with the burning of the State House of Assembly. The court ruled that Ehie, who also served as a factional Speaker of Rivers State House of Assembly, did not possess the legal authority to seek the dismissal of the charges. Olajuwon upheld the argument presented by the counsel to the Inspector General of Police, Simon Lau, a senior advocate of Nigeria, asserting that Ehie was not yet competent to make any application until he appeared in court to enter his plea in the terrorism charges. Ehie, represented by his lawyer Oluwole Aladidoye, a senior advocate of Nigeria, had sought to have the criminal charges against him and others dropped on various grounds. He contended that the Federal High Court in Abuja lacked the jurisdiction to oversee the trial, as the alleged offences were committed in Port Harcourt, Rivers State. Additionally, he asserted that the police had not formally charged him for any offence. However, the request was strongly opposed on the basis that Ehie had not appeared before the court to enter his plea. The police lawyer referenced Section 396 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015. In a concise ruling, Olajuwon rejected the former speaker's request and supported the arguments presented by the IGP. The judge noted that the charge sheet only indicated that Ehie is at large and has not been listed on the charge as required by law. Meanwhile, the state chapter of the All Progressives Congress has lampooned Governor Similai Fubara, accusing him of showing disrespect towards President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. According to the party, Fubara is not responding positively to the president's intervention in his ongoing dispute with the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike. Speaking of the matter yesterday, the chairman of the APC Caretaker Committee in the state, Tony Okocha, expressed his disappointment in Fubara for failing to fulfill the commitments made by Tinubu during the peace agreement with Wike. Now, VOP News understands that Okocha made these remarks at the party's secretariat in Port Harcourt while addressing individuals who have defected to the APC. He said, and I quote, "It will amount to barefaced disobedience for Governor Similai Fubara not to follow to the latter all the 8 indices in the proclamation made by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in response to the Rivers State political crisis. His continued refusal to present the Rivers State 2024 budget to a properly constituted Rivers State House of Assembly under Right Honorable Martin Amawule as captured in Index 6. The flagrant code feat in the conduct of local government elections smacks of disrespect for the office of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria." End quote. And still on the world news, students, parents and stakeholders have expressed frustration and outrage as the disbursement of student loans promised by the Nigerian government under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu faces further delays. The Students' Loan Fund, designed to provide interest-free loans to disadvantaged students, has experienced persistent setbacks, missing the January 2024 target set by the government. Now, despite assurances from President Tinubu, who signed the student loan into law in June 2023, the delay continues to leave aspiring students and their families uncertain. Initially expected to commence between September and October 2023, the program encountered obstacles leading to the revised January 2024 timeline. Meanwhile, the Minister of State for Education, Yusuf Sununu, confirmed that preparations were completed for the scheme to begin, including the finalization of the student loan scheme website and the conclusion of technical plans to facilitate the scheme's kickoff. However, one of the online newspapers, Leadership, reports that neither the website nor a new update had been provided on the subject since the minister made the statement. Also, an official from the Ministry of Education, who does not want his name mentioned, said expansion hurdles are the reason behind the delay of the student loan. On his part, the president of the National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS, Comrade Lucky Emonefe, said the students are still waiting for the committee on the scheme to meet with stakeholders to kickstart it. He also attributed the delay to the expansion of the loan scheme. Now, the Nigerian police force has disclosed that crowdfunding on social media to pay ransom for kidnapped loved ones is a criminal activity that is frowned on by the presidency. According to the IGP, he says, and I quote, "It is criminal, it is not allowed, it is condemned. Even the federal government condemned the act. Crowdfunding is not allowed." And this is by the Force Public Relations Officer, Muyiwa Adejobi. He actually made the statement during an appearance on one of the television stations. Mr. Adejobi said sourcing for money to secure the release of victims of kidnap weakens the morale of the police force, kills the system, and allows the perpetrators to collect gain in their criminal enterprise. Mr. Adejobi's position follows that of other senior officials of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration, including Defense Minister Abubakar Badaru and the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike, who have repeatedly emphasized allowing law enforcement to handle cases of kidnap and abduction. Now, to talk about this and more other issues on the world news at 12, I have via the telephone a legal practitioner, a political and national affairs commentator, and that is Barrister and that is Barrister Eze Oluche. I simply apologize. Barrister Eze Oluche, good afternoon. Welcome to the world news at 12. Barrister Eze, can you hear me? Hello? Barrister Eze? Barrister Eze, can you kindly hear me? Alright, while we try to re-establish connection with Barrister Eze, one of the questions that we're trying to ask Barrister Eze is this, concerning Edison Ehie, Fubara's chief of staff and former speaker before Amawule came on board. Now, the APC is questioning and saying that the Rivers State Governor Fubara is disrespecting President Bola Ahmed Tinubu because he has not obeyed 8 indices, or rather the regulations, as was adhered to in Abuja when Fubara actually attended the meeting and signed on the agreement. According to the APC chapter in Rivers, they're saying that Governor Simlai Fubara is not responsive and that he is not staying to what was decided by them. One of the reasons they're given is the fact that Fubara has been stalling in some of the negotiations that were made, and that they feel it is an outrightfront, or rather an upfront disrespect to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, because these agreements were signed so that there will be resolute peace in Rivers State. Now, the court, we do know, is up on Similai Fubara as well. And one of the reasons, or rather one of the issues being given, is the fact that while the president is trying to possibly ensure that the situation in Rivers State is resolved as soon as possible, it feels that there are other factors at play. Others consider that there is a political win in play here, where Fubara wants to have his cake and have it. That's one of the questions that I want Barrister Eze Oluche to actually disclose this afternoon while the world news proceeds. We're trying to connect with him on that particular regard. Secondly, too, we have a situation where the question that is being posed is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu a U.S. asset? Why is that question coming up? Well, we do know that Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger exited from ECOWAS. when that happened, a lot of people were surprised at that. They were wondering, how could this have happened? And then Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger are saying that they could actually procure arms from Iran as well as Russia. Now, we do know what this means, the security implications, what this means. The Nigerian government has reacted in that regard as well. They are saying that they would try to negotiate with them and see how they could come to an impasse or a resolution to the situation. One of the reasons is the fact that the spokesperson of the Nigerian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Francisca Omayuli, she recalled that ECOWAS has worked to promote peace, prosperity and democracy in the region, and that for Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger to say they were extricating themselves from the ECOWAS despite the pact that they have signed all this while is not a good one. One of the reasons Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger are given is the fact that ECOWAS has refused to do the needful when it comes to providing succor and peace to them. In fact, they said that so far the jihadist movement has been so on and strong ever since they've been in ECOWAS. They also feel ECOWAS has been very weak in regards to other aspects considerable, or if we try to want to understand basically the aspect of the ECOWAS having to play an impact or a strong role in ensuring that they are not swindled by the international committee as well as other security forces in that region. They are stating that the jihadist group or terrorists have actually permeated their environment and it has not been a peaceful one for them. ECOWAS, they say, have been weak and politicized the entire process until now that they decided that they wanted to step out. Barrister Eze, do I have you online now?
Yes, you do.
I've been trying to contact you. What happened? Did your phone go off?
No, nothing happened. I don't know what happened. I've been also trying to get back to you.
All right. So, first of all, I was trying to explain the questions I wanted to ask. We do know APC is complaining that Similai Fubara has not stuck with its agreement with the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. That's one thing. And they're saying that he had better do that as soon as possible. Otherwise, the repercussions will not be in his favor. Why do you think Fubara is stalling in the agreement, the 8 indices that he signed with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Nyesom Wike, and a couple of other peace negotiators that were there in Abuja at that same time?
Well, an unconstitutional and illegal agreement between any two people, whether the president or the governors, is unenforceable and should even be abhorred. It's an abhorrent to the Constitution. The reality is this. By virtue of Section 109, subsection 1G of the Nigerian Constitution, anybody who was elected to a House of Assembly and decides to change ship, move from the party that elected him to another party, automatically, and I repeat, automatically loses his seat in that House of Assembly. So in Rivers State, you have a situation whereby some characters who were elected under the banner of the PDP publicly announced that they were changing ship to the APC. And by virtue of that change, they automatically lost their seats in the Rivers State House of Assembly. So if thereafter, Mr. President Bola Tinubu sits in Abuja and purportedly arrives at a compromise with these characters who are no longer members of the Rivers State Assembly, and they claim to have entered into an agreement with the governor, Mr. Fubara, to update and thwart the Nigerian Constitution, it is only unfortunate. And anybody who demands that very quasi-criminal agreement reached in Aso Rock should be implemented is an enemy of the Nigerian Constitution. So I only pity Mr. Fubara, who even began the process of trying to agree to subvert the Nigerian Constitution, because it's only going to face the consequences of further illegalities. Unfortunately for Mr. Fubara, the people of Rivers State came out in full force, despite the irregularities in his emergence as governor of Rivers State. They came out in full force to protect and defend the Nigerian Constitution, only to hear that their governor ran to Abuja to an unconstitutional meeting presided over by Mr. Tinubu that reinstated these 25 or 27 members of the House of Assembly who are now holding the people of Rivers State by the jugular. So it is only expected that more illegalities, more unconstitutionalities will occur in Rivers State, because by accepting that illegal and unconstitutional agreement, Mr. Fubara has invited unconstitutionality and illegality into Rivers State.
Wow. I think it seems like Governor Fubara is beginning to see the repercussion of signing those agreements, and it's the unconstitutional reference that actually puts out there. I think that's basically why the stalling began. All right, now we do know with the current security challenges the country is currently facing and the economic quagmire too, there are a lot of critics who are talking and asking questions. Now, we do know that there was a serious reaction with the Nigerian presidency of 2023. Others feel that the Nigerian President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, possibly may be a U.S. asset. Now, why is this question being asked? ECOWAS has actually stated that they have Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger said they have backed out from being members of the ECOWAS Economic Community of West African States. One of the reasons, according to them, while they expressed the reason why they needed to step out was because they felt that the security challenges their country has been facing, ECOWAS has been silent on it. They claim that the bloc moved away from its founding principles and that because they no longer protect the members. You do know that the withdrawal did not follow due process as stipulated in the ECOWAS Charter. But at the same time, the ECOWAS chair, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, actually said that he is yet to receive any notification of withdrawal from either of the states. Now, according to the statement from the Nigeria's Foreign Ministry, that Nigeria has worked sincerely and in good faith to reach out to all members of the ECOWAS family to resolve the difficulties being faced. Now, what this means is the fact that for Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, they will get weaponry from other states that we consider to be war-torn states, or states that like to peddle weaponry to African nations fighting wars. One of those countries is Russia and Iran. Now, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger say they're going to get weapons from these countries to fight the jihadists trying to overtake their countries. Do we know what the implication of this would be? And has this extrication by these countries weakened the ECOWAS chair, that's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu?
Thank you very much. When after the February 25th presidential elections in Nigeria,
yes,
groups like ECOWAS and the African Union went about glorifying or accepting the outcome of that jaundice process, they least realized that it will boomerang and hit them down the road. Because Nigeria turned out somebody who was not prepared to be president as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And overnight, at his very first meeting at ECOWAS made the fundamental and fatalistic error of making Mr. Bola Tinubu their chairman. Now, immediately he was made chairman, we began to see the cracks, the effect and impact of having a novice at the head of such an institution. Mr. Tinubu began to talk to his brother heads of state of countries like Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger Republic as if they were his schoolboys that he could command anyhow. He took that Emilio attitude, I am the next, into the international level. And of course, expectedly, the leaders of those three countries, Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, told him to go to hell. And they told him that they were leaders of sovereign states who could do their own best for their own interests. And that is what has now led to those three countries pulling out of ECOWAS. After over 40 years of the West African community managing itself in unison, it took less than 6 months of Mr. Tinubu's administration to destroy that regional network. And this is just going to be the beginning. With regards to your question about insecurity and foreign interference, Mr. Tinubu he doesn't even give a damn about the insecurity in Abuja or in Nigeria. And he travels abroad to France on a so-called private visit.
But Barrister how certain are you?
Leaders of these countries who want to defend their people against terrorists.
Barrister, how certain are you that the president does not bother?
Whether this president go to whatever country to get support, is it anybody's business if they bring in the Chinese or the Russians? All they want is to destroy these Islamic jihadists Nigeria does not give a damn about this Islamic jihadists. Rather, we keep on rehabilitating, bringing them into the Nigerian military. But you have countries in Niger Republic, Mali, and Burkina Faso who have decided to exterminate these rascal jihadists. And anybody has the guts to challenge them. Why did they want support from whosoever? France, for goodness sake, has been implicated severally in Boko Haram activities. And the British itself has not even, in fact, rather condemned Nigeria anytime Nigeria makes serious efforts to destroy these terrorists. So you now wonder, on whose side are these Western leaders or these Western countries? Are they on the side of the terrorists to keep on destroying these African countries? So there's absolutely nothing wrong if the people of Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso decide to approach any foreign power that will help them to remove terrorists. If Nigeria wants, with people like Miloko, that they want to have the terrorists in their military, that is our business.
All right,
Barrister. Let those who are serious be serious in tackling security in their own country.
All right, Barrister, but we're actually running out of time, but I need you to answer this. So other critics believe that because the reason why the suspicion on the fact that maybe the president is a U.S. asset is that they said he has a lot of packages. For example, the drug history in the U.S., several other crimes which they consider leverages and vulnerabilities America could use to crawl into his skin. All right. Others feel that the concerns of Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali is also a huge one. The fighting in Niger has no benefit for Nigeria. Rather, it will be a move that will sap the economy and take away more fathers and disrupt homes. Okay. Although others believe that the Nigerian economy may be greatly affected and the Nigerian people actually not ready for such, and that since the expose by David Hunde revealing that court documents from the U.S. District Court of Northern Illinois indicating that the president may have accumulated wealth by laundering money for a heroin trafficking relative in Chicago, and that the U.S. officials seized more than $1 million from various bank accounts under the current president's name, and the fact that they refused to disclose all these details even while they were being asked to release these details during the time that the case was in court. All of these are giving a lot of critics, specifically some analysts just like yourself, reasons to believe that there is a possibility that maybe President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a U.S. asset. Is it true? Could that be true with all of these concerns raised that I just asked you now? Could that be a strong position for that?
Now, it is the duty of any country to do its foreign policy or have foreign policy based on its own personal interest.
Okay.
If the U.S. deems it proper for the United States interest to have stooges as leaders or rulers in different countries, that is U.S. policy, and that they are entitled to it. So it is left for any country that is dense enough to allow stooges to be at the helm of affairs. So you do not castigate America for trying to protect its own interests or for trying to have access to cheap gas or cheap crude oil, because that is what every country does. The problem should be with the Nigerian system. How did we allow somebody who was clearly a stooge, who had baggages that makes him a willing tool for blackmail at the international community? How do we have such a character as the Nigerian ruler? That is what we should ask our institutions and be ready to make a change so that enough of this will be enough. For instance, it was very, very clear to all, even when there was no denial, that Mr. Bola Tinubu paid a fine of over $460,000 for drug trafficking and money laundering related offenses in the U.S. It is also clear that Mr. Bola Tinubu forged the certificate of a United States University to present to INEC. It's also very clear that a lot of forgeries and criminal actions were around this Mr. Bola Tinubu character that makes him susceptible to blackmail or to manipulation by foreign authorities, whether it is the U.S. or France or Britain. So if we are unfortunate enough to have such a character as our president and is being manipulated by foreign authorities, do you blame those foreign authorities? The answer is no. The issue is, what do we do in Nigeria now? Should we take the next step, which is to eliminate or to remove from office this character who has become a baggage in the Nigerian system? For instance, currently, despite all the security challenges we're having in this country, the man is laying about enjoying himself on a private visit in France. The height of insanity. And that's what should be concerning us. Not whether the U.S. has interest or not. The U.S. should have interest if it's possible, they can put a U.S. lackey in all the governments across the world. But the issue is, why should we in Nigeria accept such second-class status? And can we change it? Yes. When should we change it? Now. Enough is enough.
All right, Barrister Eze, let me just ask you one final question. Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger extricating themselves from ECOWAS, is that the right move? According to you, you said they need to support themselves, they need to fight insecurity, and they feel this is a strong means that can take place. But what about the risk and the danger posed by that? They are isolating themselves, and especially for we too, battling with our own supposed Boko Haram movement here. Don't you think the trickle of these countries that border us could also affect us?
These countries that you mentioned, Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, they have taken their destinies in their own hands with revolutionary leaders, and they want to make a change and show that they are good people. So they have been out. ECOWAS kicked them out by themselves for over 3-4 months now that they have been sanctioned and suspended from ECOWAS. So it should not be anybody's concern that they formally decide to leave ECOWAS. And I do not blame them, because it would be a danger to those 3 countries to remain in ECOWAS under the chairmanship of Mr. Bola Tinubu. So perhaps the day ECOWAS removes Tinubu as the chairman, Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso may reconsider coming back. But under current dispensation, the answer should be no. And before I leave, let me just make a mention to what you had yesterday in your news broadcast regarding the Inspector General of Police call that people should not do crowdfunding. The Inspector General of Police should realize that the preservation of life under Section 33 of the Nigerian Constitution is a prerequisite which every Nigerian has. So if the police cannot protect lives of Nigerians who have been kidnapped, it is not his business how Nigerians raise money to protect and safeguard those lives. If it was a high government official, the Nigerian police would bring out all its machinery, to helicopters, everything to rescue those people. But if it's an ordinary Nigerian, a Nigerian citizen, there will be lackluster police activities for such rescue. So the police IG should, if he has nothing good to say, if he has no better mechanism to rescue Nigerians who have been kidnapped by these kidnappers, he should, under no pretext, bother Nigerians about whatever means, including bringing out money to rescue the Nigerians. What the police should be considering, for goodness sake, is that all Nigerians who are capable and who are qualified should be allowed to carry arms, to have pistols or some kind of mechanisms to defend themselves. Every kidnapper, every criminal element has weapons. It's only the innocent Nigerians who don't have weapons. So the police should liberalize the means of acquisition of weapons so that people can be in defense of their lives, and not to begin to castigate Nigerians on how they try to safeguard their lives. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Barrister Eze Oluche. Barrister Eze Oluche is a practicing legal practitioner, a political, social, and national affairs commentator. Thank you for your time on the World News at 12. We need to wrap up now. To do that, these are the top stories once again. Court rejects bid to dismiss terrorism charges against Fubara's Chief of Staff, Edison Ehie. Also, the All Progressives Congress warns Fubara on disrespecting Tinubu. Outrage as Tinubu's government delays student loans disbursement, and police IG has condemned crowdfunding on social media. That's a wrap on the World News at 12. My name is Esther Wachuku. Good afternoon, and thank you for listening.
The award-winning pizza in the US